Hello, I'm Bill Stark with the LSU Rural Life Museum, and today we're going to talk about our current exhibit, where Peace and Tranquility Reign, the LSU Rural Life Museum through the eyes of Chao Ding. The exhibit features 12 commissioned works celebrating the museum's 50th anniversary, along with other selections of the artist's work. I'm here with Chao Ding, the artist featured in the exhibit. Chao's originally from Beijing, China, and recently completed his Master of Fine Arts at LSU in 2019. Chao, your paintings of the museum capture some of the vignettes and scenes created by the museum's founder, Steele Burden. They also reveal a depth and complexity to your subject that may escape the average visitor. So maybe you can tell me, what draws you to a particular subject, and where do you find your inspiration?
Okay. I came from Beijing, as you know, so I'm a Beijing native, and my subject matter primarily came from my personal living experience as a foreign national in U.S. And when I first got here, I get a strong sense of isolation and even loneliness, but which leaves me more time to explore my surroundings, like roaming around and just driving around the street, and pay close attention to those shattered buildings, abandoned house, or those even some trashed objects. Because for me, I feel like a sense of resonation between them and my personal situation. So yeah, and I feel like I'm drawn into the very mysterious memories they create from those buildings, and also for me, they automatically create some sort of narrative possibilities, but with a very subtle way, because they don't talk, right? And so yeah, and at the same time, I really appreciate the weather in Louisiana, because the humidity really becomes like a catalyst to produce those decayed and rusty textures on those houses. So yeah, that's very interesting for me. And also, right, and because I feel like, in the contemporary life, that things are changing and moving so fast with a really high efficiency. I can say that. And but at the same time, everything changing with less emotion attached. Mm-hmm. So, for example, like email and letters, right? Mm-hmm. Email is so fast and so convenient, but compared with the letters, it's short of some sort of temperature and people's emotion, because when you're physically writing letters, you're moving your bodies, and your emotion is so concentrated on the letters, on those when you're writing this activity, right? And when you're sending this letter to someone, they can feel that those marks from your pen, right? So it's totally different experience from the email. So yeah, and on the other side, the time is very silent and soundless. But when you realize that, it always shows up suddenly with a very brutal way, right? And for me, I would like to capture this kind of, leftovers from people's contemporary life, and trying to present this kind of fleeting moments and the varnishing feeling into eternity on my canvas.
Well, that's interesting. You touched on a couple of the things that people experience when they come out to the Rural Life Museum, that sense of a time when people were more tactilely connected with the world around them, because you didn't have all of the modern conveniences. And also, you certainly see with some of the older structures and that sort of thing, you see what time does to them, some of the decay, the slow decay that will happen. Right. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what it was like to paint out here, specifically at the museum.
Okay, the first thing I need to say that I feel really fortunate to have this opportunity to work with the Rural Life Museum, because this is a great space and it's just so close to my subject matter from my graduate show. It's just so relevant, and I feel very lucky for it. And the exhibit in this museum is excellent for me, and it's spectacular, and I would just like to stand somewhere. I mean, when I was pen here, I always just stand somewhere in front of an old object or in front of a shed, a cabin for a long time, just do some meditation. Mm-hmm. And to picturing the old times, the old owners, their lives, their vivid images, they're living in those bedroom or living rooms. So that's very intriguing for me. And also, this museum is for me, it's like a time machine, like a giant time machine for me, but with unlimited access. Every time when I come into this museum, just roaming around, and there's always something capture my attention. I just stay there and without any awareness, just standing there and thinking and imagining, picturing. So yeah, and also the museum offered me a studio that I can really work on site, right? It's so convenient and efficient. I can just stay in my studio and rework on my paintings and go outside and have some inspiration and fresh air and have some very direct perception and feeling from the real things, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really appreciate this.
Well, good. One of my favorite paintings of yours is here beside us, and it's actually a view from the doors into your studio into this room. Uh-huh. So right. I find that very, very fascinating. Very interesting. Now, we mentioned, you're from Beijing, and you've talked about being a foreign national in America. Right. What was it that brought you to LSU, mm-hmm. the Master of Fine Arts program?
Right. The first thing is LSU School of Art is a great art institute that have overarching disciplines. It includes everything like printmaking, ceramics, and even those interior designs, architecture, right? So for me, it's a big art pool for the art communication. That's very healthy for me. And also, even more importantly, that LSU offered me the teaching assistant position from the beginning. And also I got an opportunity to work in the art galleries, which is very beneficial to my art practices and my concept, and even some sort of systemize my art perception when I was teaching. Mm-hmm. But honestly, when I first got here and started my MFA program, and I'm sort of struggling with interested traditional representation mm-hmm. from the beginning, because this is a contemporary art community is like a conceptual world. Everything is like language oriented, like interpretation is so important. Sometimes it's even beyond the art formality itself, is my feeling. So yeah, I got struggling with that, but after a long time with this, encountering those hesitation and like struggling, I feel like my motivation becomes even stronger, because I feel like this is really what I wanted to do. Figurative painting and representational painting is really what I have always wanted to do. So I learned how to stand firm and learn how to defend myself. I think this is very beneficial to my art career in the future as well. And yeah, so on the other side, I feel like my aesthetic judgment has been broadened very, very widely during this 3-year study. I started to learn how to appreciate different diverse forms of expression. So I can really appreciate a lot of different art styles and directions and the mediums and the forms. So yeah, this is a very good thing for me. Great experience for these 3 years study.
Artistically, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
It's a little tricky question actually, because for me it's a little hard to really picturing my future, even though just 5 years. But I think artistically, I'm thinking to really keep exploring or digging the figurative paintings more, and because this is a very traditional form in this contemporary art period. So I think I would like to, hopefully I would like to using this traditional way to achieve some sort of highly contemporary effect in the future. And because for me the living fragments from my memories is so important for me, so I would like to incorporate those fragments and moments into one painting and trying to present it like a timeline, And also, what's more, because I'm a Chinese, right? Chinese identity. From the beginning, I didn't realize that is so. I was being influenced by this Chinese identity, but actually, the reserved, conservative, and very ambitious sort of Chinese living philosophy actually impact me a lot. So yeah, I think I wanted to incorporate the ancient Chinese ink painting into my oil painting. So it's just like merging from Eastern to Western. And because I really like the colors of the Chinese painting. It's so subtle and so smooth, right? So yeah, I think this is sort of like my plan to the future in 5 years. Right.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Chao, and thank you for visiting with us today.
Thank you, Bill.
So if you'd like to come see the exhibit, the show is up now, and it will run through July 31st, 2020. Admission is included with your ticket to the museum, and you can find out more information about this and our other activities and events both on our website and on our Facebook page. Thank you.